Hello, you are listening to Disney Travel Tales, episode number 61. This is a space where you can escape the real world and immerse yourself in someone's recent Disney trip. I'm Jenny, and today I'm talking with Becky about her Merrytime themed Disney cruise she took with her husband in November. I was so excited to have my first cruise interview, and this one won't disappoint. I can promise you by the end, you're going to be wanting to go on a cruise. I know I was. Never miss a new episode of the podcast by subscribing to it wherever you're listening right now. The rest of this year is going to be fantastic, and I would hate for you to miss an episode. I'm currently looking ahead to 2023 and needing a few guests for the ship. If you're traveling to any Disney park or going on a Disney cruise in January or March, I would love to talk to you. I'm looking for about one more guest traveling in January, and I still need 3 guests traveling in March. Email me at jenny@trolleylanetravel.com and we can start planning your show. If you're unsure about being on the podcast but have questions, just ask. I am happy to help see if this is something you would be interested in. Okay, so let's get going. Imagine yourself relaxing with your favorite drink, watching the sunset while cruising away. And let's go. Okay, so today on the show, I am back with Becky. Becky is probably my most visited guest. How are you?
I can't help it. I just go visit Disney a lot, and I love to talk about it. So
yeah, and you're so fun to talk to. I love having you on. So this time, Becky is here talking with us about her cruise she just went on with her husband, and it was magical, wasn't it?
Oh my gosh, it was the best thing ever. I can't lie. It was a great time. So I'll say this, I've never come back from a Disney vacation so relaxed before, ever, in all the times I've gone and done anything Disney. This was just what we needed. So
that's so magical. Makes me want to go on a cruise.
You got to do it. We'll go together. We'll do a girls' cruise. It'll be fun.
Girls' cruise. Okay, so what were your dates of your cruise, and what type of cruise did you go on? Because for people listening that might not be familiar with Disney cruises, there are lots of different types of cruises, where you leave from, where you visit, how many nights, what ship you sail on. So give us all the scoop.
Right. Okay. So we were sailing on the Disney Fantasy, and it was a 7-night cruise, so that means 7 nights, 8 days. We were leaving out of Port Canaveral in Florida, which was really cool. Like, we could see the NASA building from our stateroom and our side of the ship and everything. So that was kind of cool. And then it was returning as well to Port Canaveral. It was the Eastern Caribbean cruise. So we went to, the Bahamas side, Virgin Islands, things like that. What did we visit? We visited Tortola, which is the British Virgin Island. We visited St. Thomas, which is, U.S. Virgin Islands, and then Disney's Castaway Cay, which is the best island in the entire world. And what was awesome, though, too, super special about the cruise, it was one of the very Merrytime cruises. So there was lots of magical holiday stuff on the ship that we can chat about that I just loved.
Yeah, so let's just go and talk about that right now. So what makes the Merrytime cruise different than just a regular standard Disney cruise?
Well, first of all, it's all decorated for Christmas. It's so beautiful. You walk in, and it's so neat. Like, when you walk in, they ask the name of your family that's with you, and then they announce you. So they were like, welcome aboard the Disney Fantasy, the Aberzetti family. You walk in, and cast members are all there clapping and cheering, and different characters are there. When we walked in, it was, oh my gosh, I almost can't remember. I'll have to look at my video, but I believe it was Goofy was there waving at us. But anyway, you walk in, and in the lobby is this gorgeous Christmas tree that is pretty much about probably 3 stories tall, because I'm trying to remember how tall the lobby is. And just garland dripping everywhere, all over the ship. It's decorated. The restaurants are decorated for Christmas. I'm just a Christmas freak, so I was so excited about that. And then they have all these specialty things. So, of course, they have Christmas, like they have the Christmas singers that come out. They're all dressed in, that Victorian, dress and doing all the a cappella Christmas songs. And that was so pretty. I love those singers. One of my favorite things are the Voices of Liberty out there in Epcot. Mm-hmm. So I love that they were on the ship. So that was really neat to enjoy. And then Santa comes and visits. Santa comes and he brings Mrs. Claus with him, and every night they come out and visit, and Mrs. Claus sits in her big old rocking chair and reads stories to the kids, and they have hot cocoa and marshmallows and candy canes and everything for everybody to have while they're down there getting their stories right. And it's so cute because all these families are out there and they're all dressed in their like matching Christmas pajamas and taking pictures with Santa, and everybody's getting their Christmas card photos taken.
Oh yeah,
while they're on this ship. So that was really neat. And then all throughout the week, they would just have different events and different things that you could do to celebrate the holidays. And the characters, when they came out, they were all in their holiday gear. Belle was in her gorgeous, that cranberry velvety dress that she has. So that was beautiful. And it was just so cute because they're, in their scarves and hats, and characters are running around. So that was really fun. I ran into Santa on the deck while I was out there reading a book one night.
That's so cool.
Yeah, so that was kind of fun. Like, I didn't stop him though, because I was like, no, I'll leave him. Kids are probably waiting for him. And then, but one lady did. She's like, can I get a picture really quick? And he's laughing and ho-ho-hoing, and he's like, don't tell Mrs. Claus. She'll be mad that I didn't, get right where I was supposed to be going. Don't tell her. So it was really cute. But I absolutely loved it. But one thing I was not worried about, or just not aware about, because during Disney cruises, they always have certain things that they're known for and that they do. So there's the sail away party that they have, and I'll talk about that in a second. But the biggest thing that everybody is all flutter about is Pirate Night. Mm-hmm. And so I was curious if they would still be having Pirate Night, or if it would be some sort of, Christmassy thing. But they did still have Pirate Night. So you don't have to worry about that for anyone worried about missing Pirate Night. Mm-hmm. If you don't know what Pirate Night is basically pirates take over the ship. And it's super fun. You go into your room in the evening and there's a little pirate bandana thing. Everybody's encouraged to dress up. And I mean, some of these people are like dressed to the nines in their pirate gear, because it's great because the adults can dress up too. So it's, all those kid at hearts adults that want to dress up or whatever. Some of them are so dressed up that you're looking at them like, are they a cast member? Like, are they, yeah. Do they work for Disney? Like, it looks so cool. Earlier in the night, they have a special show that's geared more for kids, so it's not geared more for kids. Everything like is kid friendly on the ship, but I guess you could say it's geared more for the younger kids. So it's like all the like Minnie and Mickey and all them, and they're in their pirate gear, and Captain Hook comes and he tries to take over the ship and sneak on, all that sort of stuff. And it's a fun time. But then later in the evening, after everybody's had dinner and everything, it's like around 10 o'clock, I believe. Then it's the little bit more spooky kind of thing, but spooky, piratey, I don't know. It's not scary for kids. Like it's Disney not like spooky. That, but yeah, like Disney spooky. Yeah. Exactly. Like it's not scary, but it's just, a little less pixie dusty, I guess, a little less little kitty. And Captain Jack comes. No, I probably just spoiled it for someone, but yeah, sorry. Don't listen to that part. But he comes, he's one of my favorites. and they put on a neat show. And then after that, there's fireworks, which is amazing. Disney's the only cruise line that is approved to do fireworks at sea. And it's a good, decent show. Though I'll say this as a plug for travel agents, because I love travel agents. Make sure to speak to your travel agent to find out where the best spots are to stand on the decks in order to see the fireworks, because there are some spots that you might think are great because you can see the show on the stage, but then you won't have the best view of the fireworks.
That's good to know.
Make sure to ask your travel. It's another little plus of working with travel agents.
Yep, they got all the tips and tricks.
They know those things.
Yes.
So, yeah. And of course they had specialty treats, It's just like Disney World has, in Disneyland. When you're there, they've got the special cupcakes and the specialty drinks and all the things. And of course, all the specialty clothing and gear and like Disney specific stuff. Like I scooped up when we were on Castaway Cay, I scooped up my little Very Merrytime Castaway Cay t-shirt, and gotta buy them. Gotta buy things fast.
Yes.
Another thing I'll advise, if you have specific things that you want on the cruise ship, especially if it's specific towards that cruise, like if it's a Very Merrytime cruise or, one of the Halloween on the High Seas cruise or Marvel Day, Pixar Day, you get the gist. That stuff you have to buy the first day because it's gone in seconds, The pajamas I want are gone. It's like I have to go on another cruise so I can get those pajamas.
Hey, parents, do your kids listen to podcasts? Do they like solving mysteries and flexing their imaginations? Mysteries at Riddleton Elementary is a new children's mystery podcast. Your kid can join Billy Bonanza and Susie Sockington on exciting and wacky adventures as they attempt to solve mysteries around their school. Mysteries at Riddleton Elementary is available now on all podcast platforms.
Yeah, that's what I've always heard is if you don't grab it when you see it and want it, you might not get it. So that is definitely good advice.
Well, and especially on a cruise ship, because it's not like it's the stores. Like, of course, they have stock somewhere on the ship, I'm sure, to replenish some things, but they can't have an endless stock, and they don't replenish again until they're back in Port Canaveral. And that was something on the day we got back. We were waiting to get off the ship, and we were just wandering around, and the stores are closed. And I'm watching them restock, and I'm like, oh, there they are, restocking the pajamas I wanted, probably in the size that I needed, I so badly want to knock on the window, like, please let me buy it.
Yeah, what can I do? What can I do?
What can I do? Give me some pixie dust. And that was something that I learned on a previous cruise too about the shops. So for everyone to know when they should shop, they can only do shopping while the ship is at sea. So the shops cannot be open when they are at any port, whether it's Port Canaveral, Castaway Cay, any of the ports, the shops cannot be open. Meaning the shops where you're buying things, not like the little coffee shops on board or anything like that, but the gift shops and the jewelry shops, they cannot be open. And we learned the DVC office can't be open either when you're not at sea. Yeah, well, because it sails. So, they have to wait literally until you pull away. Like, we were waiting because we were meeting with one of the DVC reps, and she's like, yeah, no, we can't. We haven't pulled off. We haven't pushed back from the dock yet, so we can't. I was like, oh my gosh, that's crazy. Like, they are.
Yeah.
They're on it. And then, so the shops will, of course, open on the first night, like once you sail away, but they are not open when you get back to Port Canaveral, because typically you're docked at Port Canaveral before you wake up for the most part, unless you get up really, really early. So you want to make sure you get all your shopping done before then.
Yeah, that's good to know. I wouldn't have even thought of that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. A lot of people don't think that, and then they shop the last night, and that's one of the worst nights to shop, too, because everybody else is shopping.
Yep.
As well. And same, just like Disney World, the specialty popcorn buckets go extraordinarily fast, so make sure you get those your first day or two as well.
I didn't even know they had special popcorn buckets on the ship. That's so
Come
fun.
on, Jenny. Of course they do.
I should have known.
Right?
Disney.
Right? Disney, of course, there's something special that you can only get right then and there.
So let's talk now about the COVID precautions that y'all had to go through and the way they are now.
Okay, so at the time of our cruise was one of the very last ones because, like, our cruise left on November 12th,
okay,
and I believe it was starting November 14th. The unvaccinated people had to COVID test beforehand, and so that was like 2 days. You had to test within 2 days' time beforehand. But it could pretty much be any kind of test, except for like the ones like you go in and buy and then go and test. So like, you could go through the Walgreens drive-through and do the test. So the Walgreens pharmacist sees you shoving it up your nose, and all this stuff, and taking care of it. And then you had to then upload it into the system that Disney had, and they would approve it and everything. So, but now that's no longer there. So now it's basically everything's all free and clear. There's you can be vaccinated, unvaccinated, no COVID testing to get on the ship or off the ship or anything like that. So that's all free and clear. What was the other thing? Oh, and things that they did previously, which I honestly wish they would have kept, was the muster drill. And if you don't know what a muster drill is, basically they have to have it's a safety meeting. It's a safety meeting so that way you know how to get off the ship in any sort of emergency situation if you had to get off the ship. And you'll have like they give it to, and on your information when you check in is your muster station, and there's signs everywhere that point to your muster station. During COVID, they were letting you do it in your stateroom on the TV or in the app, and so that was really great. Now, I think our cruise was actually the first one that was back to the old muster drill, which is fine. That's what I was used to. I'd never experienced the other muster drill. So we had to go to our location. Our location was great. It was a section in one of the theaters, so we had seats to sit in and all that, and it really doesn't take that long. The longest part of the muster drill is getting everybody there, making sure everybody's there, because they have to check and make sure that every single person from the stateroom is there. Everybody's all checked in. They have to make sure they have everybody from every state. Like, everybody on the ship is doing the muster drill at the same time. So you don't have to worry about missing out on anything because everybody's doing the same exact thing. And then they just go through the stuff. Like, of course, they tell you this is where we meet. It's kind of like when you're on a flight and it's like, okay, and here's how you put on your safety jacket, and here's what the bell will sound like, and all that sort of stuff. And then once it's done, and you go. And like I said, ours was a great location. It was inside. It was in a seated area. Fantastic. Sometimes it's not as fun, like if you're out on the deck and you literally have to fit in this one little square area on the deck. So it's a little tight, but hopefully everybody that's listening always gets to have a nice, easy muster drill station, and they'll be happy. And then one other thing that changed, which it's odd, it's a little thing, but a lot of people were talking about it, is it was the first cruise where at the buffets it was serve yourself. Okay. Instead of the cast members serving you. And like I never experienced it with the cast members serving you. I felt everything was clean and great. They still have the cast members right when you walk into any like cabanas, the daily buffet area. Cast members there, wash your hands, make sure you wash your hands. So they're pushing that. And then before you go into the restaurant during dining, there's cast members there handing out antibacterial wipes to everybody. Not like hand sanitizer, but the actual wipes. And that was good because sometimes that hand sanitizer dries out my hands.
That's actually kind of nice to make sure everyone has clean hands.
Yeah, like I'm not so worried much about COVID. I just don't want to get a cold. Like,
yeah. It's like any sickness.
Right, exactly. I'm like, I don't want anything. Get away from me.
Yes.
But yeah, so that was nice. Otherwise, like, no masks, nothing like that. There were people on the ship wearing masks. There were some cast members wearing masks, but for the most part, no masks, nothing like that. I will say I probably felt that it was cleaner than my previous Disney cruises that I've done. Not that like Disney didn't keep it clean before, but I feel like the guests were also keeping it cleaner, sort of thing. And it could be because it's still a little bit lower capacity than what it normally was back in the day. But yeah, it was nice.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so now let's just talk about getting on the cruise ship.
Oh my gosh. So I know this is everyone's like biggest thing, like, what's it like getting on the ship? So for us, we had to wait a while. But now I say that because we literally booked this cruise a week before we went on the cruise. So I'm my own worst travel agent. If you're booking ahead of time, which is when you should book, the earlier you book, the better. You do things when the windows open. So like, it's like at Disney World, like to give an idea, like we were booked past our dining window opening, basically. So we were having to play catch up on things. So when you're all booked and once you're paid in full and it gets to a certain point, then you can go in and you can basically check in, and once you're cleared to sail, because, well, I guess we don't have to do that anymore. I was going to say because once all your COVID tests in or your proof of vaccination was in, but you don't have to worry about that. But there are some documents that they need to make sure that you have and everything. So once you're cleared for that, you check in and then you get a boarding time. And so like our boarding time, you get a boarding group and a boarding window. So like our boarding group number was like 22. And it said to arrive at the port between, I think it was like 12:45 and 1:45 or something. And it's all, do not arrive to the port before that, they will turn you away. I'm not saying this happens all the time, and, you have to be a rule follower or whatever, but we did get there before our window, and they did not turn us away, so we were able to come in. And so the way it worked for us is we had driven down. We live in Tennessee. It was like a 12-hour drive. We had driven down the day before and stayed at a hotel right nearby. Our hotel did have an option where you could pay to park your vehicle at the hotel the whole week, and then they had transportation to the pier. But we priced it out, and it was less expensive if we just paid for the week at the parking lot right next to the Disney's pier at Port Canaveral. So that's what we did. So we went over there and we parked there. And of course, there's a secret way to make things a whole lot easier. So make sure to ask about that when you're booking your trip of where to park at Port Canaveral. So we parked there. There is a place where you can actually drive through and drop off your luggage. And the people take your luggage and then you can go and park. But again, because we booked so late, we did not get our luggage tags ahead of time. And that's another thing. They send you specific luggage tags that you put on, and then that way you can drop off your bags and Disney takes them and they'll appear in your room later that evening, or outside your room later that evening. So we had to go and park. So we went and parked. It was super easy. Went in, got checked in. It's funny, like they give you this paperwork and they're like, okay, leave this paper, keep this paperwork out. You are going to be asked to show this paperwork 17 billion times. Like, do not put this paperwork away. And it's so cute. Like, each like checkpoint you go through, leave this paperwork out. Do not put it away.
Yeah.
But so we got there and we got checked in, and then we went through security. Security is pretty much just like airport security almost, except like you don't have to take your shoes off or anything like that. But like you do have to put all of your carry-on items and everything and go through that way. once we were done with that, we got to go upstairs into the big waiting area, which is fun because you have they have this really cool model of one of the ships, and on one side of it it's just like the outside of the ship, and then when you go around the other side it's like looking all in the ship. Cool. So that's really cool. They have guest services there if you need to check on anything, if you want to check and see if there's any upgrade available that you can upgrade to. We did have the chance to upgrade to club level, basically, or concierge is what they call it, or to one of the big suites. But we just chose not to do that because it was so last minute and everything. And we just were like, we'll wait until maybe do that with one of the kids with us. And then they even have a point where characters come out. Mickey comes out and you can take pictures. I believe we were already past that point. They were not there when we got there. And basically you just kind of sit around and wait for a bit. We honestly didn't wait that long, maybe an hour or so, because they call you in like boarding groups, basically. Like, I don't want to say like Southwest, okay, boarding group A, boarding group 1, 2. I will say this, the more times you have cruises, that's why Disney has those different levels. Like the more times you cruise, you go up higher in level, you get priority boarding. So like concierge will board earlier, and they do this really fun thing. They choose a family of the day there. Just like at the parks, like they choose a family to open the parks, they choose a family to open the ship. And so then that family is the first people to get loaded on the ship and go through. And
that's fun.
It's fun. It's cute. But you can go outside and look at the ship. And we went outside to take some pictures and look. And Goofy was out on the ship running around and waving at everybody and, being goofy. So that was fun. So, like, there's things to entertain the kids while you're sitting there waiting to be called. And there's restrooms and everything as well if you need to use a restroom. So yeah, then we got called on, like our group got called, and of course everybody's so excited to get on the ship. So, again, it's kind of like boarding a plane. Like you're just going through and waiting. It's no worse than waiting in line for an attraction, and walking through. And we still had to show the paper a few times. And then finally the last lady was like, okay, you can put that away. And I was teasing her. I was like, are you sure? I don't know if I have to put it away or not, because, I don't want to get in trouble. And then it's fun because it is just like an airplane ramp thing, like to get on the ship. And you get up there and you can hear them announcing the other people, and then they ask you your family name. And it was cute. Our girl that was getting our name and announcing us, she was earning her ears. She had the little tag on, and as you know, our last name Aberzetti isn't the easiest to pronounce. And she's like, "Oh my gosh!" And she's like, "It's Aberzetti." Like she practiced it. Yeah. So it was cute. Her welcoming us aboard, and then we were on and we could go do whatever we want. The staterooms aren't typically ready until after, I think it's 1 or 3 o'clock, or my brain is drawing a blank. And there's places that are open for lunch. Like they encourage you to go up to Cabanas, which is the buffet, and go up there and have lunch. But there's also, I believe one of the other actual restaurants was open for lunch. Mark and I didn't go there and see that. But what a lot of people do at this point too, if they don't go up and have lunch, they can go up and go swim. Like the pool is open, you can go up and go swim. So we always advise everybody to make sure to, in their carry-on, to pack a change of clothes, pack bathing suit or whatever and everything. Basically pack everything that you're going to need for the day, and make sure like any medicines and everything are in there, because sometimes it can take a while for your luggage to get to the room. But anyway, so you can go swimming, you can go to Cabanas and eat, and you can go do other things too. Like you can go to guest services and check and see if there's any upgrades there. Because one of the, like when we were checking about upgrades, because we were just wondering if there was a stateroom at the back of the ship, like the very, very back of the ship, looking over the tail end of the ship, because I love that area. And when we were not on the ship. They were like, you can check back on the ship because as of right now, nothing's available. But if like somebody doesn't come or somebody takes another upgrade and, you know, that room opens up. So you can go to guest services and do that. We did that really quick. We just went and checked, but nothing had opened. So we're like, forget it. I'm not even going to focus on that anymore. So we went and ate because we were starving. We went up to Cabanas and ate, and it was fantastic. Like, it was just so good. They always have at Cabanas, we'll talk about food for a quick second, they always have like pizza and pasta and some sort of fish and everything, but what people don't realize is like they go through part of it and then the room kind of separates, so they think it kind of ends there, but it doesn't. Like, it goes around more, and there's like a carving station with ham or turkey or, you know, whatever, and then a big huge dessert station and ice cream and all that jazz down that way.
Nice.
But so we ate lunch, and then what I wanted to do was I wanted to go to the spa and check out the spa and get, they have this pass called the Rainforest Pass that you can get, and basically what it is, it's this pass for the whole time that you're on the ship. You can buy it by day, but they kind of try to sell it by the week. But basically, you have access to their little rainforest area, which it has the dry sauna, and then it has 2 steam saunas. They are very hot. The dry sauna is really neat because it's got a big window on the side of it. So if no one's in there and you get the seat by the window, it's cool because you can like look out and see the ocean and everything, which is neat. And then, like, after you do the sauna, they have these big, huge, cool, like, rain showers that it has all these different settings. So, like, you just push a button and it changes to, you know, it's funny. It's like what a rainstorm would feel like in the Atlantic Ocean, what a rainstorm would feel like in the Pacific Ocean. That one's cold. You know, like it was really kind of neat. Then they have another area that has these stone chairs that are slightly heated. So like you can go in there with the bathrobe on and lay on them and just relax. And it has little reading lights in case, like, if you're in there in the evening, it gets dark and you can read. And then in front of that, they have 2 big, I misspoke on that. They're not big. 2 like hot tub jacuzzi thing. They're kind of really a 2-person deal because, you know, I'll say this, it was definitely something where you didn't really go in with people you didn't know.
Yeah.
You know, like, it wasn't like the hot tub in the adult area where it's like a whole bunch of people you didn't know. Everybody was letting it be like a couple would go in at a time, or, you know, if like 3 friends were there together, they'd go. And it's neat because it looks over the front of the ship and everything, but it's glassed in, so you're not getting rained on, you know, nothing like that. It was really neat. We enjoyed it. And we enjoyed the spa shower, because you can use the regular spa shower. We enjoyed it, but it's a little expensive, you know. It was nice. My husband's like, I don't know if I need to do that again. But I'm like, man, if I'm on a girls' trip, I could totally see doing that. And doing that all the time. Or at least do it for like 1 or 2 days or something like that. But it was really neat. But all that to say, you have to get there early to book those because those get booked up. Like, we booked one of the few last packages that they had for the whole week because they don't, it's just like they don't sell an unlimited amount to it because they don't want it being super packed in there. They also sell it where like you can add on scrubs too. Like, so we got a couple of different little sugar scrubs and everything and a little loofah. So that was really cool. Also, if you didn't book any spa appointments online on the app before, you can then go up there and book spa appointments now, hair, nails, all that sort of stuff. So there were a lot of people over there doing that and doing they give a tour of the gym. And there's like the gym you can use, and Mark used that. And it's nice because you can use the gym and then you can use the regular spa showers, which is really nice because, and I'm sure we'll talk about my stateroom, but the stateroom showers, they're fine, but like my husband's a little tall. He's like 6'1", and so the shower head was hitting his chest, not his head, so he had to bend down for that. But the spa, the showers in the spa are much taller, and there's a lot more room, and they even have like the Elemis spa products in there, the Elemis shampoo and conditioner and body wash. And for the ladies, they even had like on the counter, they had body spray deodorant. They had leave-in conditioner. They had a blow dryer in there. They had a couple like spritz for perfume. They had razors in there. They had this single blade little nick your leg razors in there, but good if you forget. And in the ladies' shower area, they had a little steam room in there as well. So if you didn't pay for the rainforest, but you wanted to get a little steam sauna going on, you can go in there and do that. But they did not have that in the men's shower, unless Mark is oblivious and didn't find it, So anyway, we spent a lot of time at the spa.
So the gym area and those showers, is that for anyone on the, like, it's adults only, I'm assuming. Is it adults only, or are you sure?
It's that whole, that spa area and the gym, I'm 99% sure is adult only. Okay. I'm horrible. I didn't ask because our kids were not on the cruise.
Right.
So it was just my husband and I. But what's neat is they do have a little spa for the teenagers.
Oh, that's fun.
So they can. And I did ask because I was curious about it, because I want to do I want to do a mommy and me cruise. You can set up appointments for like a mom and me massage. It's a very light massage for the daughters, know. And you can do like pedicures or manicures there as well. So yeah, it was really neat. I found out about that, so I can take my girls to do a little spa treatment if we're spoiling them. But honestly, just taking them on a cruise, I think, is going to be spoiling them enough, because they've never experienced anything like that before. But yeah, the gym you can go in and use, and then you can use the spa showers, not the like special rainforest showers at the different room. You actually get, when you check in for that, you get a little band, and that opens the door for you. So you can't even get into the little rainforest area unless you have the band on. So, yeah.
So the rainforest area, is that something you book when you get on the ship, or can you book it ahead of time?
I definitely know you can book it when you get on the ship. I don't believe you could book it before, because I was looking for it on the app beforehand, and I didn't see it there. Now, I don't know if I didn't see it there because it was already all booked up for pre-booking, and so it wasn't on there. But I'm pretty sure, I think it is just something you can book once you're on the ship.
Okay.
And that's another thing, too, that a lot of times, so you can sign up for things on the app ahead of time, and it's neat because different levels of concierge get earlier access. If you're platinum level cruiser, you get earlier access to excursions and things like that, so you can book things earlier. But they do save some for people that don't get on the app and do it, so they can go ahead and book it on the ship.
That's nice. And nice. If you change your mind, like maybe you don't want to book it, but then you get there and you're like, oh, I want to book this.
Right. Oh, and also, too, a warning if you change your mind when you're on the ship for things. So if it's something that you book for an experience on the ship, like a spa treatment or a mixology class or anything like that, and you change your mind about it, you can cancel it, but it has to be 24 hours in advance that you cancel it. And you have to go down to guest services to cancel it as well. And I will say this. Unlike where at Disney World, like if you're under that how it used to be, if you're under that 24-hour mark, they'd still let you cancel dining or whatnot. If your event is at 10 p.m. the next evening and you go down to guest services at 10:15 to try to cancel that event for the next day, they will not let you cancel it. I mean, you can not go to it, but they're still going to charge you for it. So we learned that. And then for excursions, if you book an excursion off the ship, obviously, then those you have to cancel 3 days in advance for that. You can go down and try to talk and get services, because we found out, because there was one that we ended up canceling, if there's a waiting list for that excursion, they will cancel it for you because they have somebody waiting to do it. Like for us, we ended up deciding we didn't want to do this excursion the next day. I can't exactly remember why, but we didn't want to do it. And I went down to cancel it, and he was like, well, I can cancel one because there is one person waiting on the waiting list, but I can't cancel the other one. And I was like, okay, yeah, no, that's fine. Like, I was thinking that was fine. I get it. I was like, well, let me see what my husband wants to do, if he wants to go do this excursion by himself. I think that's what it was. I didn't want to go do a hike in the rainforest. Whatever. And the cast member was nice. Like, he ended up letting us cancel both. But that's not always the case.
Yeah,
like,
like, don't count on that.
Yeah, don't count on that. But I just want everyone to know that, because we didn't know that. I'm used to everything always being that 24 hours, and sometimes there's leeway. Not much leeway, and other excursions, it's 3 days in advance for that. So,
gotcha.
Yeah. The sniffles.
Okay, so let's talk. Did y'all see your room before you saw the welcome show, or did y'all see the welcome show and then go to your room?
So, it was funny. Our room, I'm guessing because we booked so late, I don't know. There were people that booked after us that got their rooms and everything too. Anyway, so we had our room assignment. We actually didn't get our room assignment until the day of we were getting on the ship. So for people that haven't cruised and whatnot, there's a couple different ways when you book for your room. You can either book and select your room, so you know exactly where your room location is, or you can book a GTY rate, which is basically where Disney will assign a room to you. Like, you're guaranteed for this certain area of the ship or this certain level of room or whatever. So we were booked in a 7A GTY rate. 7A is just meaning kind of like the deck level of the ship, the size of the room, that sort of thing. Which for us, it was what was it? It was a deluxe veranda, I think is what it was. Deluxe ocean view stateroom with veranda is what ours was. So typically when you book in advance, once everyone's paid in full, they start assigning those rooms. So you'll know before you board your room, before you board your room number. And like I said, I don't know if it was because we booked so late. We didn't get ours. We didn't know our room number until like 8:30 that morning. And the way that they do the rooms now is they have your key cards outside of your stateroom, like in the little fish extender thing. They have your key cards there. So they say, like, don't bother going down there until like 2, 3 o'clock to see if your room is ready. So we went down there at like 4. Our luggage was outside of our room, but our key cards weren't there. So we're like, oh, let's go do something. I want to go to the sail away party. So we went up and we did the sail away party, which is super fun because, of course, Minnie and Mickey and the gang, they're all out there dancing, and you got to be up there to hear the horn. I love the horn. Mark made fun of me. I'm like, about to kick you off the ship. And then it's so funny. You can almost not even feel the ship start to move. Like, all of a sudden I'm looking, I'm like, oh my gosh, we're away from the dock, or the pier. I was like, holy moly. So then we went up to the adult only area because that was up at the front of the ship. And we got our drink of the day, in our specialty glass, which is delicious. Anyway, we got our drink of the day and we were up there and watching Port Canaveral sail away. And it's fun because there's a whole bunch of restaurants along the port and everything. So people are there waving, Yeah,
that's fun.
There's events, other restaurants have cameras, so they broadcast it. And so, like, you can have family at home watching it online and seeing you wave goodbye to them.
That's cool.
we opted, instead of telling our kids about that, we just FaceTime them to torture them as we're leaving. We're like, bye, kids. Have fun with Grandma. Like, we're out of here. But that was super fun. We met an older couple up there and chatted with them and just enjoyed sailing away. Then we're like, okay, well, let's go down and see if our room's ready, if our keys are there. We went down and our keys weren't there. But our room steward was out there. What was it? Edmund. Edmund was out there. And we introduced ourselves, and he's like, oh, I don't have you on my list. You know, like, obviously he knew because our bags were outside of it. He's like, I don't have you on my list. And he was all aflutter because that's a big thing for them. Like, they get your names ahead of time so they know who you are, how many people are in your room, and all that stuff. And they have your schedule so they know, like, if you're doing any excursions, it's probably going to be out of your room and everything. So he was like, it was almost like not that he was insulted by us, but he was just like, oh my gosh, I don't know their names. I don't know, like,
yeah,
you know, because a lot of their stuff comes from tips. So of course they want to give you such a great service that you tip them in addition to the prepaid gratuities.
Right.
So I just told him, and I was like, it's okay, you know, we book late. Yeah, our room, I honestly can't remember now if it was ready before dinner or not. We ended up going down to guest services to get our key, is what we ended up doing. And I was trying to, like, I was being cool, like, giving them plenty of time, but I think it was like around 7:30 or something. We went down and got our key and everything. Oh no, it was like 6 o'clock. We went down and got it. Because I wanted to unpack.
Yeah, at one point you want to get in your room.
Yeah, I am one of those, like, get to your hotel and I have to unpack everything and organize everything. And so we got our key and we got into our room. I love that room. It's just so nice. Like, you walk in and there's, on the left-hand side, the way our room was, on the left-hand side there's 2 doors, and on the right-hand side there's 2 doors. The 2 doors on the right for us were our closets, so there's 2 separate closets. They have an upper shelf, and then they have like a kind of smaller shelf, like that you can put shoes or whatever on. Mark's closet had the same thing, but his had the safe in it as well. So his had the safe in it, and then it had the life jackets in the top. So he had a little bit less closet space than I did, but he didn't need it. It's okay. On the left, it's neat. Those 2 doors are the split bathroom for our room. So the first door, it was for a toilet. It was the toilet and a sink, which was really great. Like, and the sink had all the shelves to put stuff on. So I deemed that one Mark's bathroom because the sink was smaller and the counter space was smaller. So he put all his toiletries in that one. And then the second door is for obviously the second half of the bathroom, which was a tub shower and another sink with a little bit more counter space for all, you know, toiletries and things like that. So I set up most of my stuff in there. Then you walk in, and ours had the bed on the left-hand side, and we had little nightstands, it's tiny, they're like attached to the wall, nightstands on either side. And then, like, at the end of the closets on the opposite side, there's kind of like I'll call it like a little mini dresser, and a little bar. So, like, that's where you have your ice container and your glassware is there, and then it's got some shelves above it, and then 3 big drawers underneath it, which were great. Like, all of Mark's stuff fit in those 3 drawers. Fantastic. The wall opposite of our bed, it was just a blank wall, but it had a door to the next room. So, like, our room could have connected to the room next door. Then you have it was open, but there's a big curtain, that nice big thick darkening curtain that you can close in between, like, the bedroom area and then the little living room area. So in the living room area, it had the sofa on one wall, which that opened up into a bed there, and it has an end table there, a very heavy end table, mind you. I tried to move it one time, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't get this thing to move. And the opposite wall is like a big dresser vanity thing, like your TV's on it. There's a cupboard in it that has your little mini fridge in there. that on one side it had 3 drawers, and then up top it has cupboards that you can open, a big giant mirror, and you can sit there. So like I put all of my makeup and all of that sort of stuff there, and I would sit there and do all my makeup. So that was nice. And then right next, obviously, then right there at the end of the room is the big door to our veranda. That also has a thick curtain on it that you can close. So like basically you can kind of close the big bed area off from the living room, and then you can close the living room area off from the outside.
That's really nice.
Yeah, and we had 2 little chairs and a table. It was a smaller balcony, but perfect just for the 2 of us to sit out on. And the room that we connect to, you can also open up the 2 balconies between. Like they'll take the piece off in between.
Oh, that's nice.
And have 2 balconies. So like for us, what we would do when we take the kids is we would put the kids next to us, and then have us there. And then if they're lucky, we might, take that thing down between the 2. We'll see about that.
That is so cool, though. So, yeah, you could potentially have one really big balcony.
Yeah, it's really nice. And I've cruised, like, on the back of the ship. I love the back of the ship ones because they're longer. And so, like, when I've been back there, it was 2 chairs and then 2 kind of lounger chairs.
Nice.
So, like, we could lay out there and get a little suntan, which was nice. But I love spending time out there on that balcony. That's probably my favorite thing.
Yeah, that's awesome.
About cruising. Yeah.
So what was the weather like since y'all cruised in November?
Oh my gosh, it was perfect. Now, we cruised right after that the little hurricane. I can't remember which.
Nicole.
After Nicole came through. Like there were some people, because I joined a little cruise group, there were some people that couldn't make it not because they didn't think the cruise was going to go, but all their flights had got mixed up because they were flying in a couple days before. A lot of people were like going to visit Disney World before and then going on the cruise. So there was a few people. A friend of mine was going to be on the cruise too, and she had to like change all her flights around. And now instead of spending 2 days at Disney ahead of time, she was gotten the night before at like 11:30 at night.
My goodness.
She did not enjoy that. But the weather was perfect. Absolutely perfect. I've sailed before when we've had like kind of big, deep swells, I guess you could say, where the ships, where you're sitting in the room and you can see, you're like, oh wow, that's going up and down, up and down.
Oh my gosh, that would freak me out.
Yeah, that was crazy. But that was, West Coast side, so maybe that's the difference. But it was perfect. It was absolutely perfect. Weather was fantastic. It was that beautiful, like if you sat out in the sun and everything, you would get a little sweaty, obviously, but we could walk around and shop and didn't get super sweaty. Of course, like when we got on the ship, we enjoyed the air conditioning. It only rained one time that I know of. Mark didn't know it rained at all. And to tell you how quick it was, like we were out on the deck and he went to get something and he picked me up a little food snack and brought it back to me. And then he left again or whatever. And I thought he was going back to get himself a plate of food. And he did. He went back, got himself a plate of food, ate it, and then went down and got his book or something and then came back. Well, in that time that he was eating his food inside, it had rained. Like he got back and he was like, why is my stuff all covered up? We were under a cover, but like it was blowing. I was like, because it rained? He's like, it rained? Like, yes, it rained. That was when we were in St. Thomas. But yeah, we didn't have any rain. The seas were fantastic. There was one night that I think like, I don't know that the sea was rougher, but I think the ship was going a little faster, to get, because sometimes they got to kick it in order. Oh, that's what they have to, when they were doing the fireworks, they have to go a bit faster because they have to get a certain distance away from the islands in order to do the fireworks. So they kind of, put the pedal to the metal. And so that makes it a little bit different. But like nothing crazy. Like, we didn't have anything falling over. We didn't, like, it was nothing. It was beautiful.
That's really nice.
Yeah. We lucked out. Because it's the end of hurricane season.
Yeah.
Nicole was just rude. She was late to the party.
That was pretty crazy that she showed up so late.
Right. That was rude. I didn't like her very much.
No, a lot of people didn't.
No.
Okay, so your first night there, y'all did the little show and y'all went to y'all's room. And where did y'all eat the first night?
So our rotation was, there's the 3 big dining rooms on the cruise, and they rotate everybody through. So our rotation was, we started off at the Royal Court, and then our second night was to be Animator's Palette, and then our third night was to be the Enchanted Garden. I was super excited because starting at the Royal Court meant we would go there 3 times, and I was happy because I love that restaurant. It's so pretty, and like they have all these like gorgeous mosaics in there of all the princesses and everything, and your bread basket looks like a carriage. You know, it's really pretty, and all of them are pretty and nice, but it's the prettiest one, I guess you could say. It's the one off the main lobby of the ship when you get on, so you know it's the fancier one. But so we ate there, table number 36, and that's the thing. If you're trying to find your table yourself, we had table number 36. We saw table number 35. Table 36 was nowhere near it. It was like way across on the other side of the dining room. So I don't know if there's any rhyme or reason to the tables. But yeah, so we went to dinner that night, and we had our servers. So we met our main waiter at our table was Rocky Balboa. Is how he introduced himself.
That's funny.
It's neat. They all kind of introduce themselves with something to help you remember their name. And so he's like, "Oh yeah, I'm Rocky, like Rocky Balboa." And then our assistant server was, his name was Made, but he called himself Imade because his name is spelled Made, but he added an I in front of it to split, so that way he could say like, "Oh yeah, I made your dinner great," or whatever. So that way you could remember it. It was cute. And then like the lead head server like of the whole restaurant, his name was Rico. He came around and introduced himself. What is it? I kept on calling him Rico Pico because I love Pico de Gallo, but Mark then corrected me. He's like, "No, he introduced himself as Rico Chico." I was like, Rico Pico is way better. And it's fun because they go with you as you rotate through. So, like, you have the same servers and same people every single night at the restaurant. So they learn your order. Like,
that's awesome.
Rocky learned that if I didn't like the whatever salad option that was there, to just bring me a garden salad with Italian dressing. You know, so he would do that. He was like, "Okay, do you want the specialty salad or do you want your garden salad?" And it's like, "Oh, I'll take my garden salad." So yeah, they were fantastic. We like to the point where I asked him when we were getting off the ship, I was like, "How long is your contract for?" And he was like, "Oh, I get off the ship in April." I'm like, "Okay, now I'm gonna have to make sure to cruise before April again and ask for your area." So, but yeah, we ate there. Oh my gosh, it's fantastic. It's so good. You know, you get in there, you get sat. Like, I mean, they sit there and they put the napkin on your lap, and it's so funny. Not that they get upset, but like I poured my own wine one night because we got some of the wine services, and I poured my own glass. And Made came over. He's like, "Oh, I'm so sorry." Like, I'm like, "Oh no, I'm sorry." Like, I just, he was so upset that he didn't realize my glass was lower and to refill it for me. And same thing, one morning I got up, like, we didn't have any of a certain sugar at breakfast in our sugar thing. And so I went up to the other table and like, cause the other table next to us was empty the whole time. And I grabbed it and went over. Well, the next thing I know, Rocky must have seen me do it. I didn't think he did because he wasn't around, but then he went and he grabbed that sugar thing and like switched it with ours and left, and the table next to ours was like, oh, he's watching. I'm like, oh my gosh, I know. Mark told me not to do it, that Rocky would be mad, but like they want to make sure that they have met all your needs, which is it's super nice.
That is really nice.
Yeah. But yeah, so we got there and like the menus are great. Like you can see all the menus on the app ahead of time. So like you could we would sit there and be like, ooh, what's for dinner tomorrow night, and like decide what we're gonna eat. And just like every other cruise line out there, yes, you can order as much or as little as you want. You like the sound of 2 of the entrees, get 2 of the entrees. All the desserts, whatever. And the appetizers, they're individual appetizer size. So like you each order an appetizer, you can get the soup and the salad. And it was so good. Everything was fantastic, and none of it was anything like, I'm kind of, I don't know, the palate of a 5-year-old, I guess. I don't know. But there wasn't anything that I didn't know what it was or felt like it was too frou-frou-y for me. But it also wasn't basic, Yeah. It was all delicious. My husband, Mark, loved everything. He ate, I like everything I ate. I think there was only one night there was something, not that I didn't like it, but it wasn't my favorite. Like I was like, well, that was okay. Like I'd probably try something else next time. But it was so good. And of course all that's included. There are you can get specialty drinks or specialty coffees. Those are additional, but it has the prices listed there. But yeah, we ate there, and then I honestly can't remember what we did after that. I think we probably went to the shops because, I got to go to the shops. And I did not take my own advice, and I did not buy anything that night, so that wasn't very smart. We didn't go to our show that night, so we had second seating. So we had 8:15 seating, so our show time would have been at 6. But because we didn't get our room until around 6, we were unpacking our room and doing all that. But that night, the show, I think, was just either a magician or something like that. It wasn't one of the big shows. It wasn't Frozen or Aladdin. So it wasn't a big deal to miss that.
So the shows, they assign you a time to go see them each night?
Pretty much, because they're trying to make it so it's not overflow. Because if you think about it, if there's no kind of assigned time, then, it could be a free-for-all, and there'd be so many people in there. So that's why they have early dining, which is at 5:30, I believe, and then or 5:15, I don't know. And then they have the late dining. So if you have the early dining, you go to the later show, and if you have the late dining, you go to the earlier show. And there's all other stuff to do as well. It's not like you have to go. And if you don't want to go to the dining room, you don't have to that. Like I said, Cabanas isn't open, but there are other places that you can eat at. There's always up on the deck with the main pool. They have basically kind of what you would consider a quick service. So they've got burgers and fries and pizza and salads and sandwiches. Oh, big, good sandwiches on big ciabatta bread or ciabatta, however you pronounce it. There, so you can have that, and then of course there's room service. You can have room service delivered to your room as well. That was one thing that we did not do. I wanted to do, but we just never did because I didn't want to miss any of the dinners.
Yeah,
the dinners were so good. And then honestly, we never really had lunch. I don't think. Every morning we would get up and then we would go down to the main dining room for breakfast. So the Royal Court was open for breakfast, and I just loved. I'm sorry, I'm a mom. I'm constantly making food for everybody else and taking care of everybody else and all that sort of stuff. So I was taking it full advantage of somebody making me breakfast.
Yes.
Every morning. And somebody making my bed every day. Our room steward, Mark was always let's just leave the privacy thing on, because if I need to come back to the room and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, no, I want to come back and have my bed made. And like, and the turn down stuff, I'm like, I'm not missing. This is my vacation.
Yeah.
I'm not missing out.
I feel the same way when I'm on do stuff like that. Like, I want to be taken care of.
Right. Like, forget that. You don't know what it's like. You're at work. I want to be waited on. So we would always go down for breakfast. Oh, so good. The best croissants I have ever had. I love croissants. And these croissants are perfect. Like, I may have had like 3 the last day because I was like, it was so good. I want to take them off the ship, but they won't let you take food off the ship. So that's a disappointment. But it was so good. And the wait staff in the morning is different than your wait staff. Like, so because it's casual, like you come in and they seat you wherever they have availability.
So there's no like time that you don't have an eating time in the morning.
No, you don't have an eating time. It's open at a certain time, of course, but you don't have a specific eating time, except for the last day of the cruise. Like when you're getting off the ship, you have a specific eating time, but some people don't even go to it because they want to get off the ship. And if you go to that specific eating time, you sit at your table you sat at all week, and you have your servers there. Gotcha. So we get to say bye to Rocky and Mare one last time, so that was nice. But yeah, every morning we would get up. Well, Mark's a super early riser, so he would get up every morning and go down and have breakfast and do a little Bible study, and then let me sleep in a little. But I didn't want to sleep in much because I didn't want to miss anything. Like it was just so fun. But I also wanted to relax, so it was like balancing that.
Right.
So he would get up and he'd be like, okay, honey, if you want to go have breakfast down there, like, we got to go. Okay. And so we'd go down and have breakfast. And I mean, there were people there, like, kind of in their pajamas sometimes, you know? But I would just get it. And like, it's really fancy, but I'd be in shorts and a t-shirt, and we'd go down and have breakfast and then go adventure and do whatever we want to do that day. Like, there's so many things to do. We didn't do half of them. Like, I wanted to do all the trivia, but we didn't do that because we'd go to the rainforest and go there, or then like we'd go up and lounge on the adult only deck, or go see like one of the little shows. They have a movie theater on there, so you can go to the movies and see movies. Like Mark went and saw, what was it, Thor: Love and Thunder. One of the days we got to see Wakanda Forever.
Oh, cool.
It premiered while we were on the ship, so we got to go see it for free,
right?
It's included on the ship, and so that was really kind of cool. That's a neat thing, like especially like for people that were cruising when what was it, Avengers: Infinity Wars came out, so like they get to see it on the ship, so I bet that was fun for them. But yeah, and so we would just have a snack most of the time for lunch. Like we would go and grab, I think, a burger and split it. We were also trying not to overindulge. We would have our daily ice cream from the soft serve ice cream area. And I was surprised they had vanilla and chocolate and strawberry and banana. Well, I didn't care for it. Like, I wasn't going to eat it, but they had banana soft serve, and then they had the swirls, and I think they had a different flavor every day. I don't know. I wasn't the one doing it because I cannot do those soft serve cone things to save my life. So Mark always got us our cones. And yeah, he's the ice cream guy. So like, I think he might have gotten like at least 2 cones of ice cream a day, but it was always fun just going and having our ice cream cone and doing that. Our second day was a sea day, which we, like I said, we just kind of relaxed. We both brought books to read. We went and did shopping, perusing, because they have jewelry stores and men's watches, and they have the Disney store type stuff, and then they have like more specified for the cruise type stuff. So it was fun to go around there and shop. It was fun. We went up to the adult. There's 2 adult only areas, kind of, sort of, I guess. Anyway, hard to explain. So there's one adult area that has a pool just for the adults, and it also has little like kind of like an infinity type pool, like it hangs over the ship, so like it's like clear bottom sort of thing that you can sit there. And then of course there's a bar there. Like this is the pool that has, you know, the seats in the water to sit at the bar and do that. There's also like the entry to one of the entries to the spa area is there. And so like some people were getting massages on those, you know, the ones you see at the mall where they're like hunched over the thing and they're getting their neck massages. There. And then there's a coffee shop there that we were so bummed that we didn't realize and even think to go in and see until like our second to last day, I think. It's just this nice little specialty coffee bar, and they have these little desserts in there. I finally found my Rice Krispie treats. Of course, they weren't Mickey shaped because they were fancy, like at this espresso bar. Anyway, that was an additional cost, but like Mark got an espresso and I got a chai tea latte, and it was $6.
Oh wow, that's not bad.
Total. Like I paid $6 for my chai tea at Starbucks.
Yeah.
Like, you know, not for our two things together. So we were bummed that we didn't realize that until later. We were like, man, we would have been up here every morning. Like, this is so nice. You know, they have nice big cushy chairs to sit in. It was really nice. And then you go up a level and a half and go upstairs towards the front of the ship, and there's another, it's called Satellite Falls. So there's another bar up there. And then it's all these loungers, just all these lounger chairs both sides. So a lot of, you know, you can get all your sun up there. I think the concierge lounge is up there too, but that's, you know, private, so you can't see into that. And Satellite Falls is this like, the best thing to like call it, it's like a washing machine. I know that sounds weird, but so they do, it has like the satellite thing in the center of it. And so what they did is they put like, you know, a base around it, like a fountain, you know, like a big circular base. They filled it with water. Up against the satellite portion is kind of a bench. So this bench circles around it. So you can sit up there and relax. And then they have water coming off the satellite and everything.
That's cool.
It's really cool, but because it's round, and then you have that thing in the center, it's like a little river, kind of. And if, you know, you're sitting there and there's waves, you know, it moves the water around. So, you know, you can get moved around, and it gets hilarious, especially, you know, if you had a few drinks of the day and you're in there, and it's lots of fun.
Yeah.
It's very fun. Very entertaining. Very, very relaxing. But we spent a lot of time up there, not so much in the Satellite Falls, but just laying up there because there's areas that are covered as well. And we would just be up there reading and relaxing. And, you know, even like on our port days, we got off at Tortola and went and looked around. They have this little shop area there. But again, because we booked this so late, like, you know, we were thinking about our budget too, so we didn't want to go doing all these things. Like, mainly it was just, you know, being away, being not on our phones, and spending time with each other. And so we would just kind of stay on the ship. And if you stay on the ship when everybody else is off, there's not as many people on the ship.
Yeah, that sounds nice.
Yeah, it was really nice. I keep on derailing, but that second night was the formal night. It was the elegant night. And I like to tell her, like, you can get as dressed up as you want or not. Like, there were people almost in like ball gowns, girls that look like prom dresses. Basically it's the night that mom can get the kids, the little guys, in tuxedos if they want, and get the family pictures. And so they'll have out like all the big nice backdrops and everything to take nice professional photos and whatnot. And they kind of have a little bit fancier menu for dinner, or specialty menu for dinner. But since, you know, I don't do a lot of fancy things a lot of time, you know, it's like, ooh, what Disney t-shirt is nice for me to wear. I was like, oh my gosh, like, I don't have stuff for like formal night, semi-formal night, all this whatnot. I did have one dress, so like, and it was fine. But I knew we also wanted to eat at Palo. The ship has 2 18 and over adult only restaurants. It is an additional cost, but it's not bad at all. We went with the prefix menu, basically where you get certain things you can choose from, and that was $45 a person.
That's not bad.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, it was amazing. But it's a little bit dressier, like all the restaurants have dress code in the sense of they don't want you in your bathing suit sort of thing. But like there were nights we ate down there in shorts and t-shirts and didn't feel like it was fine. But Paolo and Remy's the other one. Paolo's Italian, Remy's French. They have a dress code. So like they don't want you up there in like ripped jeans or whatever. Like you're supposed to dress nicer. I did see like there were people like nice jeans, and dressier top. But anyway, since I don't have a ton of dressy clothes, I was like, well, let's combine formal night with Palo and go there. And also too, if we had stuck with the dining rotation, our formal night we would have been eating an animator's palette, which, mind you, animator's palette's nice, but it's animators. Like it is themed Mickey, all that sort of stuff. So kind of weird to be all like formal in there. So I was like, this works out perfect. We'll go to Palo and eat there. And oh my goodness, it's fantastic. It's one of those restaurants that's like, it's a nice, slow kind of meal. Our reservation was at 8:30. We rushed a little bit at the end because we had a thing we were doing at 10 o'clock that we had paid for, so we had to do. So it would have been longer, but we got out of there right at 10 o'clock to go to this other thing. But it could have easily gone to 10:30 and done that. But it didn't feel like it was like, oh my gosh, slugging along. Like it was so nice. The food was amazing. Like my mouth is watering thinking of it right now. Of course, I just got the steak because I love the steak, but it was just like you had this first little appetizer thing that wasn't on the menu that he just brought over, and it was gnocchi, and it was literally just one gnocchi, one little thing. Like it was like a spoonful.
Like a bite.
A bite. It was the best gnocchi I've ever had in my entire life. Like, and I normally don't like gnocchi so much. Not that I don't like it, but it's heavy. You know, like it's potato pasta. But it's Mark's favorite thing, so we have it. It was so good. Oh my gosh, I'm dreaming about it right now. It was so good.
That sounds so good.
So we had that, and then we had a little appetizer and salad and desserts, and then they brought us a palate cleanser at some point between one of the courses, and our server was just so nice, and we were in a booth, but the booth faced out, so
nice.
Had we booked it earlier in the night, or if it was earlier in the summer season, we would have still been able to see the ocean, but still it was nice, like just looking out that way and kind of sitting next to each other, all romantic like. It was fantastic. And then at the end, he brought us this like limoncello type shot thing, but he's like, it's in a shot glass, but sip it, because it was frozen-ish, and oh my gosh, it was delicious. It was delicious. And then we ruined our evening after that. Sounds horrible. We ruined our evening after that. So we had wanted to do a lot of they have a lot of, we're not alcoholics, I swear, but they have a lot of alcohol tasting things. And it's one of those things, like if there's something we've never had before, like we want to try, and why not? Like, there's a bourbon tasting one, there's a whiskey tasting one, there's a wine tasting one, there's a cognac tasting one. And so we had this cognac tasting at 10 o'clock. And it was nice because it was at the bar right next to, in between Paolo and Remy, is this gorgeous bar. It's like that. It's a very manly bar, like, that deep mahogany, dark wood, deep leather chairs, it's just, you'd think you'd walk in and smell like cigar smoke, but of course it doesn't because you can't smoke. Gorgeous. we had wanted to skip this one, but that was one that we couldn't cancel. So it's like, all right, well, let's go. We'll make whatever. Mark likes that sort of stuff. Like, he likes bourbon, he likes whiskey. I do not. I'm just now getting into wine. I'm like I said, 5-year-old palate. I like, clear alcohol or, a Truly. Okay. Like, that's just, I'm that girl. I nearly got, oh my gosh. I didn't even drink all my things. Like, and I felt bad because, like, all these other people are in here and they're drinking it. And I'm like, how are they doing this? Like, have you ever had cognac?
I'm not a fan. I don't like any of that dark liquor at all. I don't like the way it smells. Ugh.
No, Mark didn't even like it. The only thing that I liked was he made a sidecar, which is cognac and Grand Marnier, which, I love Grand Marnier. My Grand Marnier slushes in France.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, it was okay. It was the one I could tolerate to sip on. But even that, I was like, so we learned a lesson for that. But for those that like cognac or like those sort of things, like, it would have been great. It's $50 a person, but you got like a pretty decent pour, I guess you could say, of each one. I think there was 4 or 5 different cognacs that we tried, and then the sidecar that there was. So that was, definitely good value, but we didn't like it. So we were the only ones that did not drink all of our alcohol.
Funny.
And I'm like, oh my gosh, I feel like, we're imposters or something in here. And he's like, sweetheart, I know you would have done much better. You would have redeemed yourself in the wine one. But I was like, yeah, you would have. So that was kind of a bummer. Not that it didn't ruin the evening. We just,
it was a bust.
Yeah, it was so nice. And like, we were bummed that we rushed through the end at Palo instead of taking our time and doing that. But whatever, it was fine. But then it was nice because we just went and walked around on the decks and everything in our, nice clothes. We never go out in our nice clothes really. And it was a really nice day. And then I think the next day was another sea day. So we did the same thing. Like, we had our little routine. We had get up and have Mark would get up early, go have breakfast, and then we would go and do whatever it was. I like to start the morning, reading and whatnot. I think that was the day Mark went to see Thor: Love and Thunder. I mean, I love it. I love that movie, but we've watched it at home a lot, and I wanted to read. I was like, my favorite thing was going down to, I think it was deck 4, and sitting out on those loungers out on the deck. And it's so funny because it's the deck where people can run, there's a track, and I'm just sitting here like reading, enjoying my time watching these runners. I'm like, who are these crazy people? Like those people you see at Disney that run or work out when they're there. I'm like, what in the world? It's vacation. Stop it. But that's where I saw Santa too. So I got to see Santa there. So that was good. So we hung out into that. We didn't do the show that night either. What really got us, I think, was that our dining time was that 8:15 time. And we were just enjoying the day and like enjoying lounging out on the deck, that we didn't want to then go rush down and get changed and go to the show.
Yeah.
And
I can see that.
So I definitely think next time I want to try, because I do want to see the shows. I mean, I've seen the shows before. The thing was, I've seen those shows before. I've gone on the fantasy before. Mark this was his first time on a Disney cruise, so that was super fun for me. I loved seeing him see everything for the first time. But he, like, I know he's not huge Disney, so it didn't matter to him to miss those shows. So we just enjoyed our time. Like, I knew he would rather be relaxing and doing his sauna thing in the rainforest and everything. Next time though, when we go, we're definitely going to try for the earlier dining. And that's another reason to book early as well, because early dining is the most popular one. And so it gets booked up faster. And so you can get put on a wait list for it, but it didn't come available for us, at least on our cruise. So that was the thing. But anyway, I just feel like if you have earlier dining, you're more likely to go to the show because you're already like dressed and ready and went to dining, and then it's like, well, yeah, let's go to the show and do that.
Yeah, it just seems like it'd be easier to just eat and then go watch the show instead of watch the show and then go eat.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. But like we did, oh my gosh, what did he make? It was like an apple tart or an apple crumble or something. Basically, we went to a cooking show with one of the chefs on the cruise. And so he taught us how to make this pastry dough. And I mean, we were watching him cook, and do all of it. Like, we weren't able to do it ourselves, but we watched him cook and make it. And he kind of talked a little bit about like how much stuff they order for the things and how many apples he goes through a day in order to make these things. So that was really kind of cool.
That's fun. And
then, of course, towards the end, they came around and gave us all, a piece of it. And so we get to sit there and eat a delicious little snack and have that. That was super fun. That night, where were we? We were in the Enchanted Garden, which it's so pretty. I know my 13-year-old, I know Izzy's going to love it because she's all into that botanical, viney greenery. Like it's got the lotus flowers like opening and changing colors, like because they're kind of like these lights up in the top of the room, and it's kind of like a Tiana themed room. Pre-COVID, it used to actually have like a little show and like a little jazz band and everything in there, but as of right now, that hasn't returned. But we were in there and it was super fun. We had the best time watching the kids at the tables around us. Like, there's nothing better than being on vacation without your kids and watching other tables, because like everything the kids do are cute and fine because it's not your own. Yeah. It's like, oh, look, he's having a hissy fit. Like, poor Karen, so cute. But if it was your kid, you'd be like, oh.
Yes.
But what I noticed watching them and watching their serving team, it was amazing. Like, it was a larger family, so you could tell it was like a couple of families together, like all probably cousins at the end of the table. And the servers were like entertaining the kids. They were doing these little origami things and doing jokes and magic tricks. Even at one point, like when their food came and there was this one kid down at the end, I think it was the assistant server was over there and he was cutting the child's meat.
Oh, that's so nice.
Every single night, he would cut up the kids' food and everything, so the parents were staying and enjoying, and they would do that. And they had this whole, like, inner joke thing going on the whole time. Like, each night, the kids were trying to get something from the head server, from the server or something. Like, there was some sort of thing that they were doing with them, but it carried on each night. So it was just so neat.
That
like,
is really cool.
People think like, oh my gosh, my kids aren't going to sit through that. Like, they're not going to like that. Don't worry. The servers make it fun and entertaining for them. So that cool. was really kind of cool. So yeah, we ate there. It was really good. I think that was the night I had my French onion soup, which was fantastic. I love French onion soup. Oh, and I think that was also the night I finally got my bottle of Moscato. We got the wine service thing, so there's a thing where you can buy like a package of like either 3 nights or 4 nights or whatever, and have bottles of wine at your table. And then if you don't finish it that night, they save it and they bring it back out the next night. Well, we had been drinking like Mark's red that he wanted and Mark's white that he wanted, and me and my sweet tooth, I wanted my Moscato, so I finally got my bottle of Moscato, so I was very happy that night. So that was good. I didn't drink the whole thing that night. I drank through it, but it was fantastic. But we went to bed kind of a little bit earlier that night because we were going to Tortola. We were going to be at Tortola the next day, and we knew we wanted to get off the ship, but we didn't have to rush and get off early. So I'll say this because I know a lot of people's big thing is about getting off the ship and how is it and all that sort of stuff. So we didn't experience it that day because we were just getting off the ship whenever we wanted. We didn't have an excursion time that we were getting off. So we just walked right off. It was no problem whatsoever. Same thing with getting back on. no problem whatsoever. The guy that when we were leaving Tortola and coming onto the pier, though, he did mess with Mark a little bit. Like, I gave him my passport, and he looked at it, and then he looks at Mark's, and he's like, "Oh, the picture doesn't match." Like, with the straight face, and Mark went, "Ooh." And the guy was like, "I'm just kidding," you know. Mark on, so that was kind of funny. But yeah, so it was super easy getting on and off the ship, and like you could see just people getting on and off all day and going, because that was one of the nice not that all the ports aren't nice, but that was a port where the boat pulls up and there's the pier and the dock, and you can just walk right off. Like, you didn't have to get in a tender boat or anything like that and tender on in, so that was nice. We did have a couple people that were running late getting on the ship, though, because you could hear them like calling, like, "We need so and so and so and so to check in, like, as soon as possible." So I think we had to wait a few minutes for people before we pulled off. So I can't speak to crowds or how anything was that day. Same thing with St. Thomas, because we actually didn't even get off the ship at St. Thomas. But I've done that cruise before, and I did Tortola and St. Thomas. I will say, like, if you're getting off the ship very first thing, there can be lines. You know, there's lines getting off the ship, and there's a crowd or whatever. But again, it's the same thing. It's like, I would liken it to like waiting for the fireworks, you know, and you're in that crowd and you're waiting for that, but it's not as long. Like, it's not like you're not there for an hour before the fireworks sitting there in a crowd or anything like that. Like, it moves through. I would say that if you want to avoid that sort of thing, to book excursions that are a little bit later in the day, or not first thing in the morning, or book concierge level, because they get, you know, express.
Oh, that's good to know.
Sort of stuff. Yeah. So do that. Castaway Key Day. That's another story. that one is a little, like, if you're getting off the ship, because like everyone is, you know what? Sorry, my brain is thinking, like, I honestly remember when I went the first time, it wasn't as crowded as this time when I went. And I just realized, I think I know why now, because typically when you dock at Castaway, we get there about 8 o'clock in the morning. And you get off the ship, because I remember, because my friend Wendy and I were on the last cruise on the Fantasy, and we got off early because we wanted to get off as early as possible to get the snorkeling done before the waters got all turned up with everybody playing in it. And it wasn't bad getting off the ship early. But this time when Mark and I were getting off the ship, it was like we were in line on the stairs a couple of floors up from where disembarkment was. But it was still fine. It was like everybody was just going down, and it literally maybe took us 10 minutes to get off the ship. It wasn't bad at all. But I think the reason for that was, and now I realize, we didn't dock at Castaway until like 10 o'clock.
Oh. So everyone was awake.
So everybody was awake and ready and raring to go, and also because we were still leaving at the same time.
Yeah.
So I think, I never actually even looked in to see, but I think maybe, because that was that night, remember how I was saying there was one night where it was a little bit rocky? I think it was that night. So maybe there had been like a storm in the distance or something, like something where they had to slow us down more than they normally would. And we docked later, so not only was it now everybody's awake and getting off the ship, but we still all have to be back on the ship by 4:45. So it's like everybody's like, "Let's get off the ship, let's go."
Yeah.
So that was a bit of a wait, and then it was a bit of a wait. It was a bit frustrating getting the tram, because we were going over to the adult only area, but we can talk about that when we talk specifically about Castaway. But yeah, we didn't notice much for crowds. Same things with dinner time. And I was keeping an eye on this because my mom says she hates cruising because of the crowds. Like, she's like, I hate feeling like I'm being herded like cattle. And I'm trying to convince her to go on a cruise with me because I want to go on more cruises. And so I was really paying attention to it. And so, like, before your dinner, if you get there, like, so our dinner was at 8:15. So that means they open the doors at 8:15 and you go in and you're sat. Or I think they sometimes open them at 8:10. So if you get down there right at 8 o'clock, yeah, there's a bunch of people there. Like, you're standing around with a bunch of people, but it's not like you're not all crammed up next to each other or anything like that. And it funnels in fairly quickly. But if you get down there right at like 8:15, 8:17, you know, you just walk right in. Like, there were a couple nights that we just walk right in. And it's different too. Like, the first night, there's a little bit longer of a line because the first night is nobody knows where their table is,
right?
You know, unless they've cruised a bunch of time and know exactly and requested a certain table or something. So, and like I said before, like, table 36 isn't right next to table 35,
right?
You know, so you have to wait for them to have a server come and seat you, and it's like that for the first 3 nights because you don't know where your table number 36 is at Animators. You don't know where it is at that. But once you know that, the rest of the nights, everybody just goes in and goes to their table. Like, you know where it's at, so you go. So that was different, you know.
That makes sense.
Yeah. And then when you're leaving too, it's not like they're like, okay, dinner's over, you gotta go. Like, everybody leaves at their own time whenever however fast it took them to eat and their dinner. And then, of course, for the shows on deck, like the pirate show, and things like that. Well, yeah, there's a lot of people there. Just like there's a lot of people there when you're watching the fireworks or watching the parade. It's gonna happen, right? But it's nice because at least you can be on different decks for those shows. Like when it was the tree lighting in the lobby on that first night, there's 3 stories of decks. You can be on the, you know, main thing where it's at, or you can be up 2 more stories looking over the balcony at it. So it's really not that bad. And same thing for the shows outside. Like, it's all, you know, open, and you can be on different decks, and, you know, not as crowded with people. So
yeah, and that's good to know too, because like when you're at the parks and you're watching the fireworks, you're all on the same level.
Right. Yeah.
There's no upper, lower. Yeah.
There were no kids on shoulders. There were no, like, iPads up in my face of people, like, recording everything, which was definitely nice. Well, now I'll say this. I wasn't down on the first level, like, in that main area. But I didn't see any kids on shoulders, but I don't know about the, like, phone and iPad up in front of your face, you know, that sort of thing. So I don't know if that happened or not. But at least where we were, that wasn't happening. So it was a nice change.
Yes.
That was fun. Let's talk about Castaway.
Let's talk about Castaway.
All right. Castaway. Oh my gosh. Like I said, we got off at Tortola for like an hour, did the shopping, didn't get off at St. Thomas. I didn't care. I just wanted to get on to Castaway. I love that island. While I was on there, I kept on talking to Mark about, I don't know why Disney hasn't opened like their own property in Bermuda or Jamaica or something like that, you know, because they've got Alani, like, can they please do something like this? Because it's amazing. Like, it literally almost kind of looks like a sandbar in the water. Like, there's nothing on it. All the people that are working there are either off the ship or they've been boated in from other islands. You know, no one's like living there. All the food that's there comes off of the ship. You know, but it's just so amazing. Like, and it's great because you pull up, and again, you just walk off the ship and walk down. And of course, as we were pulling in, it was fun. We're pulling in, and I could see these like funky vehicles, and then I realized, I'm like, oh my gosh, that's like Mickey's little dune buggy, and that's Minnie's little dune buggy. You know, so they have these things to take the characters, you know, take Minnie and Mickey around places. So it's fun, you know, as you're getting off the ship, they've got the like not laundry carts, but basically they have carts there with the towels and everything. So they give you don't have to bring towels. They give you towels.
Oh, nice.
To bring and go and do. And then as you're walking down the path, because it's Disney's Island, so it's all themed, like it's all all the things, and there's little photo opportunity spots and characters there to take photos and everything. And they're in their beach wear because they're at the beach. And since it was a very Merrytime cruise, there were sandmen, not snowmen, but there were sandmen,
cute.
Things and Christmas decorations, like island vibey Christmas decorations and everything. So that was super fun. And we were headed for Serenity Bay, which is the adult only, or the whole thing, adult only area for this cruise for us. Because I couldn't wait. When Wendy and I cruised, we spent all of our time over at Serenity Bay. After we had done a little snorkeling, but it was so calm, and I just wanted to get out in that water and float on my float. But this time I was learning better, and I make sure to reapply sunscreen on my hands because I sunburnt my hands because I was in the float, but my hands were at that perfect spot where the sun was beating down on it. Anyway, I couldn't wait. So we got over there. We got on the tram, and so. You could walk there. You can walk there, but I wasn't doing that. So you take the tram over to this one little area, and then you get off of it and get on this other little tram that goes out to Serenity Bay. That was a little bit of a frustration for us that morning, just because when we were at the second stop, we sat there for a long time before moving on to the next stop that we had to transfer at. But I think it was because there was something wrong with the machine or what the tram or something was happening. I don't know. But when we get over there, I had pre-ordered our floats. You can that is additional. It's $13 to rent a float for the day. So I had pre-booked that online. And when I went over to get it, the guy was like, "Oh, well, I don't know if you're going to want to use it because it's, a little choppy today. It's a little windy, whatever." And it was one of those things I was like, well, I pay for it, I'm going to take it. And it was kind of a bummer. It was windy, and the wind was fine, but it was really making the water kind of a little more wavy, a little more choppy. And so, you could, I had fun. It didn't hit all my, just lay for hours on my floaty, floating around in that water dreams, but we went out in the water for a bit. You couldn't even go out there. There is an actual sandbar there that you can go out to, but nobody was going out to it. There actually wasn't a lot of people in the water, but we went out for a bit, and I did get on my float for a little bit. But yeah, it wasn't that lounge around relax. If I wanted to play in the water, would have been fine. So we went and we brought our little chairs down because most all the loungers they'll have two loungers next to each other, and then right directly in front of those two loungers they'll have two of those low sand chairs. So that way, because a lot of people will bring those down to kind of sit in and out of the water. So we did that for a bit, and we collected shells. All the shells, they're these gorgeous, just white, beautiful shells, and so we collected a few of those, and then we went and lounged and read for a while, and went and ate. So the island has kind of I guess you could call it two barbecue areas. There's one over by Serenity Bay, so it's the adult only barbecue area, and there's also a bar at Serenity Bay, because the adults want to have their drinks. This, I would say, is probably the one meal I was disappointed in on the cruise. And I filled out the information on that on the little survey. It could have just been my burger, that it was dry. And I get it. You can't really complain. You're on an island in the middle of nowhere, and they brought this stuff off the cruise ship and everything. But I don't know, my burger felt dry or whatever, or something I don't know, if they forgot the seasonings that day for the pasta salad, it was just oil in pasta salad, and they forgot the like garlic salt and garlic powder or something like that. So that was our only disappointing food, I think, the whole entire cruise.
Was that food included? Like, did you have to pay for it?
Yeah, no, that was included.
Okay.
We didn't have to pay for that. Yeah, that was. I'm trying to think if there's anything on that island that is extra, but I mean, obviously the alcohol is extra. And they have like excursion type things that you can do there, but a lot of the excursions were canceled because of the choppy water. So like, but it was funny because Serenity Bay is on one side of the island, and it was choppy. And then when we were coming back towards the end of the day to go get on the ship, and we were walking past, we only took the tram to like this one stop, and then we walked all the way back instead of taking the tram all the way back because I wanted to go to the stores. Shocker. I wanted to go to the stores, and I wanted Mark to see that area. But when we got over there, that water wasn't as choppy. Like, that water was
that's interesting.
Smooth. Yeah, because like the wind was just on that side and not on that side. I was like, that is so cool. But then I was kind of bummed. I was like, dang, I wish I had realized that. We would have come over here and lounged around. Because that area is really neat. They have all these different sections. So like they have this section that is for people that have the, water toys, those water bicycles, that go on top of the water and whatever, and the little kayak type things. Like there's an area for that, and then there's the snorkeling area, which is super fun. Like if you guys like snorkeling, you have to go. Prince Eric's statue from Little Mermaid is down there, so you can see. So cute.
That's so fun.
Yeah, and then there's another little area that's got the thing the kids can swim out to, and like they can do like a zip line into the water. And then there's another area, bigger beach, that has a thing you can swim out to for like water slides and all that. There's a little kiddie area that's just for like the little kids to kind of, like little kids to play around in. So that's super fun. But it's a nice big beach area and everything. Like, and especially, I don't know if our ship wasn't that hugely full or whatever, but that we could have found a little corner where there wasn't like kids screaming and everything. So I was kind of on that. I was like, dang it, I wish I would have done it over here and lazed around on the beach over here. But they have another restaurant over there, or another barbecue place over there. They also have like, they have sand volleyball courts. Mark was all mad that he was like, what? I could have been playing volleyball? I'm like, okay, sorry you had to go like relax with your wife. Whatever. They have volleyball. They have this other area that we definitely knew they had ping pong tables in it. We didn't go look at it to see what else they had in there, but we could hear the ping pong tables. And so like kids are hanging out over there, and then they have like a regular kind of, they have two like Disney type stores. Like, so at the one end, it's a smaller store, and they've got shirts and towels and things like that. Then as you're walking along, like heading back towards the ship, there's this little row of other kind of little shops, but it's local shops. Like, so they have people come in from the islands, and so you can get like, Bermuda branded things and stuff like that, so to help support the local islands, which I thought was really kind of cool.
That's really cool.
And then they have the little bit bigger gift shop, so where you get all your Castaway Key specific stuff, and you can, again, I don't know why these weird people do this, but you can do a 5K on Castaway. So people do that and they get their medal, and so there was a lot of kind of cool, like the Castaway 5K, merch there to buy. And we saw some of the people running and everything. You can rent bikes and bike around on the island. That's like you want to do that next time with the girls. So that was super fun. It's just so nice. Like, I just love being able just to get off and go have fun at this beach in this location, and not have to, I don't know how to say it without sounding awful or anything, but not get harangued like, trying to get a taxi or, that sort of stuff, where
sure.
people are trying to sell you things and everything. Like, it was just,
it's just relaxing.
Island. It's just relaxing, private island, and there's Disney stuff around. So who can complain about that?
That sounds so nice.
When we went to get back on the ship, you drop your towels there. Like, there's a thing where you can drop your towels, and then they have nice ice cold cups of water and wet towel, like hand towels or face cloths rolled up, and they're nice ice cold wet, and they give you that. So that was really, really nice. And then
that is nice.
You just get back on the ship, and we miss it. So that night was funny because we found this little spot that we loved to go and watch the sunset at because nobody was ever there. We would go over by Cabanas and get ourselves like a cup of tea, and Mark would get a coffee, and then we would go to our little spot and sit there, nobody's around, and watch the sunset. And this night we were able to watch the sunset and, leaving Castaway and everything. So it was so nice. Well, we called one of the kids, Megan was around. And so we called and FaceTimed her and, was showing her. And of course she's like, oh my gosh, I want to go there. I'm like, just calm down. But, we're sitting there, we're talking, and she's like, Dad, you look so handsome. Aww. She's like, you look younger. And he's like, okay, kid, whatever you want, you can have it. Like, just so jokey. And she's like, no, like, both of you guys, you look so good. You look so relaxed, like, and it was just, so nice. And she was genuine, yeah. It wasn't anything. And then I'm looking back through the pictures and I'm like, oh my gosh, we really do. Like, we look so relaxed and just having fun. And it was just so great. Like, people always see this and they're like, you're going on a Disney cruise without any kids? Like, I've sailed Disney 3 times now. Never been with my kids on the ship.
Yeah.
I'm a horrible mother. But they're going to go soon. Don't worry. But it was so great. Like, if you wanted to see characters and do all that sort of stuff, and there were tons of adults doing that. Like, you could see, like, adults doing all their thing and doing all their pictures and dressed up with all their stuff. But if you didn't want to, you didn't have to. Like, there was... And people were like, well, weren't there, like, kids running around everywhere annoying you? No. Like, Disney, it's Disney. They do such a great job. Like, the kids clubs there are insane. Like, people were talking about how they couldn't get their kids out of the club to come have dinner with them because they were having so much fun. Like, I know my girls are going to love it. Like, they have them broken up by the different age groups. So, like, there's obviously the littler kids, and then there's the tween, and then it's like, 14 to 17-year-olds. They have a whole section on the front of the ship, like this front little triangle of the ship, that's got 2, like, hot tubs and this, like, little kind of pool area and all these cool loungers and everything. It was so really cool. Like, I'm like, I want to go in there. I've been able to see in there because I did a tour of it, and you can too. Like, anybody can go see it. It has to be on the very first day when you get on the ship, and only during a certain period of time. You can go in and you can look at it so the parents can see what it is their kids are getting into and everything. But after that you can't, because they're not going to have just random people walking through and touring.
Right.
But they have the neatest things. Like, there's a smoothie bar in one of them for the kids. They have this cool, like, I don't even know, like, it looks like it's like a giant porthole, Like, the best thing to say, it's like a porthole window seat.
Okay.
So it's like that circular thing. It's a window seat with a cushion, but you're in there, and then if you're, like, laying back on it and looking, it's a TV and, like, a place that, like, it's a gaming.
Oh,
seat.
that's cool.
Like, yeah, like, it's just like all, and they've got like 4 or 5 of them or whatever, and so, like, you're just gaming and playing and everything, and, like, they just do cool stuff. And of course, for the littler kids, it's more themed, like, Disney themed, like, they'll have, like, it looks like, Oh my gosh, Andy's bedroom from Toy Story, things like that. So cute. And the characters will come down there and do things. And it was funny too, because Mark kept on asking me, and I don't know, I kept on ignoring him or whatever, because I can't remember. But anyway, he's like, what is this, like, this 1820s? Some, like, 1820s is having a party. 1820s, like, it just looks like the year 1820 is having a party, it's having a thing. I was like, I don't know what it is. And then I finally, like, I was reading something. It's for the 18 to 20-year-olds. It's like this, like, it's called the 1820 Society. Because if you think about it, like those kids are kind of in a limbo, because they can't do the little kid stuff, the young kid stuff, but they can't do, the 21 and over stuff and everything. So they have this, like, cool, fun things for them to do. And Disney's very good about it being, like, actual cool, fun things, like, not what mom thinks is cool and fun for the teenagers. Like, it's actual cool stuff.
No, that's really cool, because I was just thinking, like, what do you do when you take your 18-year-old who's in college, but they still go on family vacations? They're, like, in limbo.
Right, exactly. That's what I was thinking, because I have my Emma, exactly that. 18 in college, what is she going to do? Now, mind you, for her, she'd just find a corner somewhere and read and be a happy little camper. But there are cool things and fun things for them to do. And I know she's going to get a kick out of it and, like, be like, oh, I can go to Palo with you guys. Cause, it's 18 and over. Megan and Izzy will be like, yeah, that's fine. We're going to be over here and vibe, like, doing cool stuff. And there's neat stuff to do all around the ship. Like, there's, like, this kind of, like, detective game thing all around the ship. And it's neat. Like, you go up to them and, like, paintings will move. And
neat.
It's really cool. Like, there's so much fun stuff for the kids to do. Like, the only times we ever saw kids were when they were going around doing, like, detective. I mean, obviously we saw kids. Like, of course, we go by the pool, we saw kids. But you don't have to be down by that big pool where all the kids run around and jumping around. You can go and be at the adult-only pool. Like, you don't have to worry about that. Like, we would see them run around, and it was kind of fun because you could tell, like, when the kids started getting to know each other and hanging out, especially, like, the teenager-ish ones, because then you would see these groups of teenagers going around that aren't all traveling together, but they've made friends, but they were good. They're cute in the elevators, and, it was good kids. Like, we never saw anybody doing anything crazy or inappropriate or anything, so we just...
Well, yeah, I was thinking that, too. Like, fun. That's so fun for your kids to be able to meet other kids on the cruise.
Oh, yeah. I've heard, like, people, like, they make friends for a lifetime on these cruises and become pen pals. Like, I have friends, I made friends on my cruise with Wendy. Mark and I made friends, too, like, or we're social with people, but, like, Wendy and I, we made friends on our cruise, like, two that, like, we're still Facebook friends. He was like, oh, are you going on that cruise? Oh, I'm not going on that cruise. One of them he actually works, I didn't realize this. I knew he was a super smart guy, but he works for that Artemis, and so that was actually supposed to launch on the Saturday that we were there. And so he would keep on updating me, and he's like, yeah, no, it's not going to launch. He's like, it's been delayed to this, but, so he was telling me that stuff. Because that
would have been cool.
If you're leaving, but there was still another launch. I don't know if it happened while we were there or not, but of another something, whatever. But, like, you meet cool people. Like, a friend of mine, she's like, oh, yeah, we met people on there, and now they cruise together all the time. Like, they're friends. Like, that's their thing. So
that's fun.
It really is really fun and really neat. So we're looking forward to going back and doing that on the cruise. And I was asking our server, I was asking Rocky about how they do the tables now, because for those that haven't cruised before, like, you typically get sat with other people when you're cruising. But of course, during COVID, they weren't doing that. So Wendy and I, when we went on our cruise, it was her and I, and we got sat at this four-top table, and we're like, oh, cool, like, let's see what other couple we're going to be sat with, not that we're a couple. Wendy and I are a couple, but, like, we assumed that we would be sat with a couple. But it was two single guys Like, it was two single guys, and we laughed, and we're like, oh my gosh, like, is this like Disney, like, matchmaker game or something? But yeah, so I was asking him how that worked. Like, are they still doing that? And he was like, well, it depends. You know, obviously, like for Mark and I, we had our own table. It was just the two of us. You could have sat four at it, but it was just the two of us. He's like, they are starting to sit people together, but it's like together, but like a little bit separated. There's like a small thing in between. He's like, but the way that they do it, excuse me, is they try to like match up families, like match up same age kids and whatnot. So that way, you know, they have something in common, something to do. Which nice. Of course then made me think like, oh my gosh, they were matchmaking, Wendy and I, because they matched up two girls with these two guys or whatever.
Oh, they totally were.
And I was like, oh my god. Like, how did they not know? Like we could have been a couple for all they know, like, because we were cruising together in the same room. These two guys were literally single cruisers. Like, they didn't know each other. Yeah, great guys. So Christopher and Peter, like I said, still friends with them to this day.
It's fun. Like a Disney love boat.
I know, right? Like, oh my gosh, it's so funny. But yeah, it was so great. Like, my other thing that I brought back from it was, I wish we had taken our kids on Disney Cruise when they were younger, because like. And I was talking with, you know, Jess, I was talking with Jess about it, how when they went to Disney World, all her girls wanted to do was meet the princesses. And I never realized how much they just wanted to meet the princesses until we did that trip together. And I was like, and Jess was like, oh my gosh, yeah, no, I haven't been on this ride yet. And I'm like, what? How have you not been on this ride? And she's like, because my girls only want to meet the princesses. And I was like, holy moly, like, you went to Disney World and literally spent most of your time just meeting characters, you know? And I was like, oh, that's a lot of money to spend just to meet characters, whatever. That's a whole big thing. But, and it's a lot, like, because it's exhausting walking through the parks, waiting in those lines, all that sort of stuff. And I was like, oh my gosh, Disney Cruise is perfect for that. Like, for those kids that just want to do character things or just want to do character things. They don't want to do the rides. Like, you know, Carrie, my friend Carrie, her son was like refusing to do all the rides and just wanted to do the Disney kind of things. Like, it wasn't even characters. He just wanted to do things. The cruise is perfect for that because it's relaxing for the parents because you're not having to run around with 18,000 steps a day. And the lines for the characters are not bad at all. I mean, I literally was walking down the hallway and ran into Rapunzel, and she was kind enough to stop and take a picture with me and everything, and then went on her way to whatever she was going to do. And they're all over the place all the time. I mean, it's all the time you see them, you know, like just randomly or just they are constantly around. For the kids to meet. And so I was like, that's perfect, you know, and there's so many fun things. Like, so, like, when you're at Disney World with your kids, like, you can't get a break from your kids unless you bring grandma and grandpa. You know, this you can get a break from them. Like, you can tuck them away, here, go do that. And I was like, man, wish we had taken the girls on this when they were younger. It would have been a little more relaxing. Not so many, you know, 7 a.m. breakfast reservations at, you know, Cinderella's Royal Table, you know, to meet those characters. So
well, and I think people don't realize that as well. And I had even I was watching something on Instagram where this mom talked about the princesses remembered her daughter when they would go meet them because, and so that even made it more special. When you're at the parks, they're not going to remember you. So now that we kind of talked about the cruise and then why you think it would also be good to take your younger kids on cruise, why don't we compare a Disney cruise to like a Disney World vacation? So cost-wise, do you think, and I know cruises vary in cost from how many nights you're cruising, where you're cruising out of and all that, but compared to the the same type of stay at Walt Disney World to the same nights of a cruise? God, I know that sounds so confusing.
Right. No, I know what you're saying. It's so funny with how things are going at Disney right now and all the changes and everything. Like, I'll be honest. Right now, I feel as though Disney Cruise Line is a better value for people. Just because there's a lot of changes going on at the parks and a lot of things, and there's been, cost changes, things like that. Also, just with Florida, it's so dang hot. It's so hot, so much walking around. And I get it. Cruising and Disney World are so completely different in a sense of Disney World, it's the rides and the castle and all of that. But if they're looking and just they want Disney, but they want relaxing, they want family time, I love Disney Cruise for that. And I know a lot of times people go and they look at the price of Disney cruises and they're like, oh my gosh, it's so expensive. It's when you compare a Disney cruise to a Disney World vacation, it's not so expensive. I think what confuses people is if they're looking at the cost of a Disney cruise compared to the cost of a Carnival cruise. I'm sorry, there's a big difference between Carnival and Disney in general. They don't even compare. You can't compare the two of them. So with Disney Cruise Line, you're getting that deluxe level type of hotel, I guess you could say. Even the rooms that are the inside staterooms, that don't have verandas or don't have windows because they're inside, they're in the center of the ship. Disney goes as far as they put in fake portholes and they run live stream video of
that's cool.
What would be outside, to the point where they even do it for what side of the ship that they would be on. And it's even sometimes a little more fun because a little Disney character might come by on it. Theming wise though too. So it might be Scuttle or, a little starfish or something like that happening on there. So even though it's an inside stateroom, you're still getting that extra touch and the extra magic, and you're still getting the same level of service from the room steward than you would the other rooms, and you still have the nice bedding. Oh my gosh, the beds were so amazingly comfortable. I cannot even tell you. It was so comfortable.
And another thing too, people need to remember is most of the food is included in the cost with the Disney cruise, right? Yeah. Snacks.
Absolutely. Right. Because if you think about it, you could spend, let's say, I don't know, let's just throw it out there, $5,000 on a Disney World trip. That's your hotel and your tickets and transfers, whatever. But then you get there and you have to pay for food, all that food. And while Disney food is delicious at the parks, it's expensive. Your minimum quick service, with a family, you're going to spend at least $30 for $15 a person for that meal. Dinners, it's going to be $30 to $70 a person, depending on, where you're dining at. And that's all time plus, golly, the drinks. I mean, how much is a bottle of water? They're $4 now. I can't, can't remember. I try to just drink the Florida water and get over it. But, it's such an expense added on. And then we're not even going to mention, Genie Plus or things like that, because you could decide not to do Genie Plus or anything. But it adds up and it adds up. You'll go and do that and your trip might have cost, $5,000, but then you're going to spend maybe $2,000 more on food.
Yeah.
There. And that's not, that's not like really an exaggeration
No,
of
not
anything.
at all.
Whereas you could go and do the Disney cruise for like, you could probably do the same price or maybe even a little less. Like, especially right now, they have that discount if you have Disney Plus.
Mm-hmm.
That is an amazing rate. All your 95% of your food is included, and I say this because like pretty much all your food's included. The only thing that's extra is like I said, if at the end of dinner you wanted like a specialty coffee, I can get just a regular cup of tea or a coffee. But if I wanted like a chai tea latte or something,
Mm-hmm.
that was a little extra. Again, still less than Starbucks. What else? They also have they have a specialty coffee shop in the adult only area, and then they also have one kind of in the main, right above the main lobby. So that's a little extra. And then, the special like sweet shop that
Mm-hmm.
they have with instead of soft serve, it's regular serve ice cream and like the fancy cupcakes, the ones that look like, unicorns and things like that. But even that's not that expensive. It's not that bad.
Mm-hmm.
And also too, you don't have to get that. There's so many desserts and there's so many sweets everywhere. Trust me, like you're not going to go without food or without sweets or treats or anything like that. Mark and I were talking about, we were like, you know what? The next time, like him and I cruise together or whatever, one of these times, what we want to do is we want to go and do it and see how cheap, I guess you could say, we could do it. Meaning,
Mm-hmm.
like, how much fun is it going to be if we don't do any of these extra things? But then I told him, I'm like, honestly, we kind of already know how fun it would be. Like, the only extra things that we did is we did the rainforest thing, which we were like, we don't need to do that again. It was fun to experience it, but we didn't need to do that. We did do a couples massage. That was very nice. And we might do that sort of thing again. But it's not like that's an extravagance. Like we can do that here at home,
right?
So we're like, we don't need to do that. And then obviously we're not going to do the cognac tasting again. We don't have to worry about that. But we might do the wine tasting one because we felt like that. And that's the thing too. Like we felt like that was a good deal. Like the wine tasting of trying that. We probably wouldn't do the wine package again. Probably wouldn't do that just because you can bring on with you like 2 bottles per 21 and over person in your stateroom.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Like, we brought on 4 bottles of wine, so we could have done that. And like we left, I think, with 2 bottles of the wine, because we had done that wine package. But had we not done that wine package, we could have just drank our wine.
Right.
We had. So really, like, you could truly pay that, let's say, $7,000 for that cruise, and that be it. Like, and not pay anything else because you prepay gratuities for your room steward. Now, for all the people, but now we did add more. Like, we did give them more cash tip before we left just because the service is so excellent and they deserve it. But otherwise, like, you could get on there and not pay extra for anything. Like, if you didn't want alcohol or if you brought your alcohol on, your wine on, you can bring beer on too, but it's like I think it's 1 6-pack per person. I think it's a better value to bring the wine on, personally. And yeah, so like if you don't do the spa treatments, but like I said, you can still go to the gym or use the spa there. You can still go. There's still a hot tub to get in, just not the spa one. You don't have to do the mixology classes. You don't have to do that. There are plenty of things to do. Like, we didn't do nearly half the stuff. Like, we didn't do any of the trivia that I wanted to do. We did trivia on the last night, which just made me feel Disney dumb. Because the 3 other trivia nights, he basically took the most difficult questions that, like, nobody got the answers to from the first 3 nights and then did that on the last night. So I was just like, that's just mean. Like, I'm just feeling like, you know, oh my gosh, I thought I knew Disney, but like it was obscure.
Yeah,
well, a lot of the stuff about the movies and things like that. He was even asking about movie studio stuff. Mm-hmm. So it was just weird. But anyway, yeah, you could go on. You could pay that price, what your travel agent tells you, because you're going to book with a travel agent because they're the best, and not pay anything more. Like I said, Mark and I didn't do any excursions. You know, obviously that's the biggest thing. Like, people want to go out and see these places. So obviously, you know, you might want to book an excursion. But a lot of the locations you can just get off and walk around. Mm-hmm. Like, we could have just gotten off in St. Thomas and walked around a little bit too, but we didn't. We just, you know, we wanted to stay on the ship. The ship was so fun, you know, and you're paying that much. Like, stay on the ship, enjoy it, do all the things, and the ship's less crowded when you're off of it.
Yeah, I've heard that as well. Like, a lot of people choose to just stay on this ship, at least at maybe one of the stops, maybe not at both the stops. Okay, so what was your least magical moment of the cruise?
So I have to say least magical moment, and I hate saying it because I love this place so much, but it would be the tramp situation when he passed away. You know, like, that it just started off wrong. Like, I mean, we were sitting there for like 15 minutes waiting. And waiting. And I was like, oh my gosh, I just wanted to get to my spot. And then the food was disappointing at that. So, like, I hate that. My least magical was like a little combined experience there that passed away. Like, and I mean, I have to say, it wasn't bad. It just was disappointing compared to the last time.
Yeah.
So that was the least magical.
So, what was your most magical moment?
I can't choose like just one. But yeah, I mean, Santa was great. Running into him was super fun. But the best thing was just all the time with Mark. Like, we really, like, even like when we do date nights here, you know, we still look at our phones. People are still contacting us and things like that. But out there, like, I mean, there's internet packages and it works great, but like, Mark didn't get the internet package, so he wasn't being disrupted, and we really, really just got to spend time with each other, you know. And we were really good about not just talking about the kids the whole time. So yeah, I would just probably say it would have to just be all the time I got to spend him and I together, like, just hanging out.
Yeah, that's awesome. And just, it sounds like such a relaxing vacation in general. I think people really should think about a Disney cruise as a good vacation option as a couple or as a family.
Right. And I didn't come on here too to talk about maybe like commercials or cruises or anything like that. I just had such a great time. Mark even joked out, he was telling the kids, like, I think Mom, like, you're saying Mark and she like Disney World, and I was like, bite your tongue, that is not true. Like, Magic Kingdom is still my thing, but this is just different. It's just it's just a completely different experience. Like, I just feel like you can get closer to your family, and it's, I mean, you know, that heat and walking around and you get cranky at each other. I mean, you're still having magical moments and having super fun, going on all those rides and everything, but you kind of need a vacation from a vacation. I think that's why a lot of people, like, do those, like, land and sea, like, they go to Disney World first, and then they, I don't know, heal their family.
Yeah, on the cruise.
Going on the Disney cruise, you know, be all nice and relaxed. So,
yes.
It just, it really, it was so great. I'm addicted. I'm like, I can't go again. When can I go again? Volleyball in school is getting in my way. Just let me go somewhere.
I know. It's these kids and their school and extracurricular activities.
I know. Pesky critters. Well, who needs to take finals? You're fine.
Yeah, it's no big deal. Who cares?
My cousin getting married. I was almost ready to get on the wish. But my cousin's getting married, so I can't do that.
Well, Becky, thanks for coming on this show today. I always love chatting with you, and I was so excited to hear all about your cruise. hope you enjoyed hearing all about Becky's cruise. Are you wanting to go on a cruise now? Because I am. I'm trying to convince my family, so maybe next year will be the year for us. As always, this show is sponsored by me, a travel agent with my favorite earmarked agency, Trolley Lane Travel. If you're interested in hearing what a Disney cruise might cost your family, I would love to help you. I have a special Disney cruise quote form that I will put in the show notes for you to fill out. All of my services are complimentary, and I would love to help you see if a cruise is the way for your family to go on their next vacation. Next week, I will be back with a new guest. So until then, this is Jenny, and may all your Disney travel dreams become a reality.